It is officially 12, so we're gonna start on time and get going. Um, Welcome everyone to today's webinar talking about the 2020 Catalyst program. My name is Abu Danda, and I work on the curriculum side of the 2020 Catalyst program. I'm a settler Canadian, currently residing in the Ottawa area, so the unceded territory of the Algonquin peoples. And I wanted to first hand it off to our colleague Courtney here, who's going to talk a little bit about the Alberta Strategic Partnerships Initiative.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our second Icebreaker webinar with Indigenous Clean Energy. My name is Courtney Hiscock, and I'm a business officer with Prairies Economic Development Canada. And I'd like to acknowledge that I'm grateful to work, live, and play on Treaty 7 territory. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta. I work on the Alberta Indigenous Clean Energy Initiative, which provides funding to First Nations and Métis communities interested in renewable energy generation and energy efficiency projects in Alberta. And this includes providing assistance and resources at any stage of the project from ideation to final investment decision. And our goal is to help you get the most out of your investment. We also work closely with our partners at ICE, Indigenous Services Canada, Natural Resources Canada, Alberta Indigenous Relations, and Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation. If you're interested in learning more, I'll put a link in the chat box for you, and please reach out if you want to learn more information or if you have any questions or would like to start a discussion with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Okay, just a few little housekeeping things before we get going. Hey, this is one of a series of webinars, if you weren't aware. So we have a couple of other webinars coming up talking about other programs at Indigenous Clean Energy. So we have one talking about the Charge Up program on October 31st. So the Charge Up program is focused on making EV charging infrastructure accessible and viable for Indigenous communities. On November 7th, we have a webinar about the Regional Energy Advisor Training Program, just focused on building up sort of Indigenous energy advisor expertise to help further energy efficiency actions in Indigenous communities. And we have a webinar talking about generation power and imagination, which are two of our youth programs on November 13th. And that's focused on involving and empowering Indigenous youth in the clean energy transition. So there'll be links so you can register to all of these webinars in the chat momentarily. Also, if you would like to connect with us, you can find information about the webinars on the ICE network, which is a place where we also have lots of other resources. You'll hear postings of news about things that are going on in the Indigenous clean energy space. There's resources, there's spaces for you to ask questions if you're working on a project, and experts or other people who've gone through similar things can answer your questions, and it's a great way and place to connect. So you can find us at the icenet.work. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to throw them up in the chat. We will save them to the end just to let us have a little bit of a flow through the presentation, but feel free to write them in there as you think of them. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to get started and talk to you a bit about the 2020 Catalyst program. So the 2020 Catalyst program was sort of the founding program of Indigenous Clean Energy. So it's a capacity building program that provides our participants, who we call catalysts, with practical and applied learning about clean energy projects. So the unique sort of nature of the program and the interactive nature of it gives the catalysts the tools and resources to develop their skills and maximize the impact to their communities through clean energy. And sort of how the program came about, back in the day, the founding executive director of ICE, Chris Henderson, was doing a lot of consulting with Indigenous communities on clean energy projects. And it was identified that there was a gap in capacity of, well, you could have so many consultants helping the communities, but the real way to have a just transition and to empower the communities is to have it come from the community level up. So what's the way that we can build the capacity within the community so they can lead the projects for themselves and lead the transition for the country as well? A lot of you may not know, but that currently in Canada today, other than utilities and crown corporations, Indigenous communities are the largest owners of clean energy projects in the country. And that's a pretty amazing thing to hear. And it makes me really excited for the future and the projects and things to come. So some of the goals for the program are to build that community capacity, as I mentioned. So how do we get not only one person trained up in the community, but then we have that knowledge shared throughout the community. So there isn't any gap because, you know, people's lives change, people move on. So how do we build up that capacity to have not just a person, but teams working on these initiatives in communities? And from that point of community capacity is when we reach community readiness. Communities are ready to push forward these projects and to help lead that transition into a cleaner future, as well as building up the leadership capabilities and qualities of our participants. So how do we get them from the points where they're coming in, where they may, you know, be a person in a community and they may not feel like they can push things forward. They may not feel like they have the capability or the experience to really be a champion for their community. And how do we get them to that point where they can be that and can share their stories and their experiences with other communities down the road to help empower other participants and other Indigenous peoples. So those are some of the goals we have coming into the program and some of the takeaways we hope our participants have. So we focus on things like community energy planning. So, you know, what does clean energy look like for your specific community? How do we get there? We look at things like energy education, community energy engagement. How do you reach everybody in the community? We look at things like business management. So as you're, you know, running this business, what do the finances look like for this project? How do you get it off the ground from the point of I have an idea to this project is happening? We look at things in the energy development process, so project feasibility, project partnerships. How do you work with, you know, the utilities in your area? How do you get to that point where you're ready to go? As well as, you know, looking more at the structures of, so in a lot of these projects, you'll be working with external partners. So what do those partnerships look like, and how do you maximize those benefits, not only for the community, but mutually, as a true partnership should. And so the question becomes, we have all of these goals and all of these takeaways. What does the program look like? How do we get there? So the program involves 3 week-long intensives that take place in different locations across the country. So over the roughly 6-month length of the program, we'll meet every several months for 1 week in a different location across the country. And for that week of, we call them on-site intensives because they are intensive. There's a lot that goes on during that week, and we really put a lot of content in there. But we also try to have a lot of fun. We cover things like, we have different in-class learning opportunities. We run workshops, as well as we have project tours. So as we're going across the country, what do projects and approaches look like in different Indigenous communities across the country? How does the location change the projects that may or may not be viable, or how does the landscape change the approach a community may take? And now, in between those week-long site intensives, we have webinars to both supplement some of the things we learn on site, as well as to build on them. So maybe before a session in a certain week, we'll have a webinar to cover some content at a higher level, so we can get into it a little bit deeper when we're all together and meeting in person. And lastly, a sort of really key foundation of the program is our mentorship. So we have other Indigenous clean energy experts, so people who've done these projects in their communities or in other communities, or have worked with communities, and they're there to help guide the catalysts in their journey, to help give them advice, and to really help empower them to move the projects forward in their own communities. And that comes that comes from a point of view of outside of our on-site sessions, but we also have a lot of these mentors at the on-site sessions sharing their stories and giving a chance for the catalysts to interact with them there as well. One of the things we're really proud about in the program is our representation from coast to coast to coast. We've had over 120 participants complete the program, and they're truly from everywhere across the country, and it's really, really wonderful to see all of the participation from everywhere. And it's we try to have as wide of a spread across the country, not only over every year, but like each individual year, we try to have representation as widespread as we can to help sort of increase that impact across the country. I just wanted to highlight a couple of catalysts before I hand it over to Serena, who's one of our amazing catalysts from this past year. Just so you get an idea of some of the stories and some of the projects the catalysts have done before, during, and after their time in the program. So this is Grant Sullivan. He was a 2016 catalyst. He was with us this past year as well as a mentor for the most recent cohort. He's the president of Nitat Energy Limited, and he's also an energy champion in the IODI program. And he's done several projects since he completed the program in 2016, really doing a lot in the Inuvik region. So he started a residential solar net metering project. He had 2 installations, one at the Inuvik North Mark and one at the Inuvik Mackenzie Hotel, as well as his most recent achievement, which is a really, really huge, amazing project of a 1 megawatt solar farm in Inuvik. And if any of you know about energy in the north, that's not an easy thing to do, and it's a really amazing step forward for clean energy in the north. Another person I wanted to highlight is Drew Bernard. So he was a catalyst in this most recent cohort along with Serena. He's from Lennox Island First Nation in PEI. So Drew was the energy lead for his First Nation. Before he came onto the program, he'd already done some work in the space. He had energy audits completed of all of his community homes and buildings, and had 65 heat pumps installed in many of those buildings to help switch over to electrification of their heating to get off sort of those fossil fuels and the fuel oils used for a lot of heating out east. And since the program, he's finalized the partnership with Natural Forces, and they're working towards 18 megawatts of wind power, which is really, really exciting and amazing. And he's also working towards a large 30 plus megawatt solar project that is on the way. And now I wanted to hand it off to Serena to share a little bit more about her story and her experience in the 2020 program.
Great, I'm just gonna share screen. There we go. Sweet, Scano, Scano Srini Gausen, Gaigo Honey Cleanso Den, Otini Niwige Shout Den. So hi, my name is Serena Mondi Sabo. I'm really excited to be able to speak with you and speak about the amazing opportunity. I am a 2020 catalyst from this past year's cohort, the 6th cohort, or the best cohort. And I am the Just Transition Lead at Sacred Earth Solar. I had gone into renewable energy when I was 17, 18. I worked at my Communities Development Corporation, and Six Nations, if you know, has the largest renewable energy portfolio out of any First Nation in Canada. So I worked a lot in the community engagement, public education for our projects. And actually my first time running into the Catalyst program, I had just gotten back from the International Student Energy Summit in England, and Jordan Burnoff, one of their board of directors now, and Braden, another catalyst from her cohort, I had met them out there, and they're telling me all about the program and that they were coming to my community the next day we got back. And so I actually went with the cohort when they came for the 1 day to Six Nations. I got to experience what the Catalyst program really did and see how they were learning from my community. And so from there, I was quite fascinated and have stayed within the network for a bit until I was lucky enough to be part of it myself this year. So with that being said, Abu kind of gave you the overview of the intensives. And so for my year, we were really lucky because I feel like we got a very diverse set of locations. We were in Unama'ki or Sydney and Bedeque, Nova Scotia for our first week. For our second week, we were in Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territory, Regina and Saskatoon. We went to Kalwessis. And in our third week, we were in the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Oh, I put British Columbia. And so throughout these weeks, we were able to really get a diverse understanding of the clean energy network and landscape in so-called Canada, Turtle Island, from an East Coast perspective, a Prairies perspective, and a West Coast perspective, which was really cool for me because I come from Southwestern Ontario, so it's very different. And I wanted to share you this because with this beautiful program, just as Abu said, there's representation. And in my cohort, you can see we had people from East Coast to the Arctic Ocean, to the West Coast, to little old me down in Southwestern Ontario. And so I don't think I would have ever had an opportunity to be immersed with all these different nations from Turtle Island. And so this program really gave me the opportunity to be connected and build community with people from all over the country. This is our first photo, probably our first photo ever of our cohort. We're probably a lot nervous, jet lag. Some people were taking like Grace, you'll see, I'm pretty sure took like 3 days to get down, 4 days to get down to Nova Scotia. So a lot of work and people having to leave their communities, leave their families to come together. So everyone's probably a little jet lag here, shy, but I don't think we really understood the experience that we were all going to have and the connections that we were going to gain at this point in time. And we were excited, but also I think a little nervous to see what's going to happen. And I guess from there, I kind of want to show you what at least I gained as my experience from here, this point on in the Catalyst program. So in the program, the knowledge is abundant. Oh my goodness. And it isn't just any traditional knowledge. Yes, there's presentations. Yes, it follows a curriculum, but it also is immersive and it takes I think, a non-traditional approach to education, especially by providing an Indigenous lens for this knowledge. And it's knowledge within the clean energy sector, but we're able to use Indigenous people's experiences and our unique rights, our unique political positioning within the program. And so it's very much shaped to our understanding of Indigenous peoples of the landscape we live in. And so, yes, it was a lot of presentations, which were so interesting and interactive, but also not only was there presentations, there was also like, I don't think I've ever had as immersive education as I did within the Catalyst program, because yes, we're learning from them, but they also make it that we're learning from each other and we're learning and they're learning from us. And so that's something I really got out of the program is it's a very immersive educational experience and it takes a non-traditional approach as well as that hands-on experience. So not only are we learning within a curriculum, but we're learning from people, places, and the different stories that are across Turtle Island. So this is just one of looking at the inverters in Kalwessis on their community solar project. And so really getting to see firsthand, I think that was actually really interesting from Kalwessis, was they brought us into their electrical panel. We got to see from the root up all the different aspects of a project and hear from their electrician. So that to me it's a very immersive experience. And for example, I'll just give like in week 2, we spend a whole day within this game, and I won't tell you guys if you apply what it is, but we take a whole day where we really are the players in the industry and we take the roles of industry upon ourselves. And for a whole day, we're role playing into negotiations and building partnerships. So everything we learn now, we're able to put that into practice. So that's what I really felt like the knowledge spanned across non-traditional borders, and it works. And with this knowledge and learning that comes, it also brings access. And I want to touch on, I would not have had access to these communities, to these spaces without the Catalyst program. And really, as I said, taking on like the knowledge, surpassing just curriculum, but also into real world experiences and places. I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to do so. And I think historically Indigenous peoples have been excluded from these conversations around clean energy as well as energy overall. And that's why we're in the current crisis we are today. But I think that's why ICE was created in the first place, exactly what Abu said, because there is gaps. And by creating accessibility for Indigenous peoples in the clean energy sector, we're able to build our knowledge, we're able to build our confidence. And I wouldn't have ever had these experiences to be able to learn real hand experiences from other communities who have already been doing the transition, where I can take this knowledge back. And I love this photo because his name is Justice, and he works for the Eskasoni Renewables, and he is a youth among the Generation Power programs, and he got the opportunity to lead our cohort in through his project that he's actually the construction manager of, that he said he wouldn't have ever saw himself. And so for me, this was really exciting because I first got to see another community project, and it was a solar project that was powering their fisheries department. And but also seeing a young person who looks like me, who is like me, and being able to learn from them. And so I think, like, sometimes we're told that, oh, we feel very lonely, and that's how I felt a lot before when I first got into clean energy. But through this access, I was able to know that there's people like me in here and doing the good work. And so yeah, I think accessibility is a core tenet of this program, and you'll have experiences like you never thought by connecting with other individuals. And so the last thing I want to say about access is we have access to those spaces, but we also have access to experts, and not just the industry experts, which we do, but community experts, as I just said. And we're able, like, I can be a very anxious person. So being able to, like, oh, these people who are on this high accord, we have time to go and speak with them. We have time to learn from them. We also get mentorship from them, which is where ICE takes the accessibility to the step further of mentorship. And I really think mentorship is a core tenet of the program, as throughout the entirety of the 3 weeks, we have on-site mentors the entire time who align with the curriculum that's going forth. So in our first week, we really talked about energy efficiency. We had amazing energy, Gord, Gail, amazing energy efficiency mentors who have been doing this work in Indigenous communities for real time. And so not only do we get them on site, we also get them going forward, and we'll have group sessions as well as one-on-ones. And so I think it was really important because the mentorship that I received even in week 1 with Chris Henderson and Adam QB from QB Renewables really changed the trajectory of my project and really helped me shape my focus of looking at the ampage in my longhouse project that I'm doing a sustainable restoration. And oh, we're at 110 amps. I need to completely do an electrical upgrade before I can even think about my project. I wouldn't have known that without the mentorship that I gained here, because I don't have a technical background. I have that community engagement, public education background. So the mentorship really braids different knowledges together and able to support me where I might have my own gaps in my knowledge. And with all this mentorship, the knowledge, the access, it comes confidence. I have, as I said, been in this field for a while, but I never quite received the investment that the Catalyst program put in until now. And so I have never experienced quite a program that really believes in you, believes in your growth, believes in your believes in your potential. And with having that support system, it really builds my confidence. I come from a background where it's very non-traditional. With a critical perspective, doing small scale community-based projects, really focusing on reconciliation, sovereignty, and healing. And I would have never thought I'd be speaking in front of these industry experts and professionals that day at the forum, but I felt my worth, and I felt very validated by the rest of the cohort and the Catalyst program that I had. There was a reason I was there, and I was meant to be there. And so now I feel very confident within, as an Indigenous young woman in the clean energy sector, there's not many of us. And especially with the critical approach I take, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but I have the confidence now through the Catalyst program to know there's a reason why I'm here, and I'm meant to be here. Lastly, but not last, or the last but not least, kinship and community is what I gained from this. And I am a collaborator on a course for Connecting for Climate Change Action. And the core philosophy is that you need connection and community to take climate action. And this is what I see with the Catalyst program, is exactly that, in the community and kinship that I have now to support me through this trying time and this nervous time of the crisis, but how we can come together to really support each other and build solidarity towards the solutions we all want to see with our community. I've never been around this many like-minded Indigenous individuals in my life that are really working towards the betterment of our communities. So it's very special, I think, what you gain from the program. You gain mentors, you gain community, you gain friends. I talk to some of my cohort participants every single day, and this is the community that I got out of the Catalyst program, really, who believe in me and support the visions that I have for a healthier future. And lastly, I just want to show this last image, because you saw that first image, we're all a little nervous, and this is by the end of the cohort. We are smiling, we're laughing, we're so close, and it really is a family. We're a family now, and I think that's what's really special about the Catalyst program, is through all these different cohorts, the family just keeps getting bigger. And I have connections from the first cohort, the second cohort, and that's what the Catalyst program does, is really to build that connection surrounding mentorship, knowledge, and access, and focuses on that community building, which is so needed in this time. So yeah, if there's anyone who is thinking, I am a little nervous about applying, I would just like to say, don't be, and put yourself out there. I applied the night before the deadline, and because I was a little, had that imposter syndrome. Oh, will I get it? Oh, am I meant to be in that space? And I just went for it, and it's been completely life-changing. And I have some of my best friends and some of the best community that I could possibly have when trying to put forth my climate solutions and clean energy projects. I just want to say thank you to Indigenous Clean Energy for all the work and all the investment that they've put in me over the past couple of years. And I'm really appreciative of this program. I've seen the impact firsthand of what this does for our communities. As even my own community member who does our clean energy portfolio was a Catalyst previously, and we wouldn't probably have the portfolio we do today without the capacity put into our community. So I want to say thank you so much, and Nyawagoa.
Thanks, Serena. Thanks for those amazing words. I also wanted to highlight, you also had a solar array installed in one of your projects like a week or so ago.
Yeah, I completely didn't say what I'm actually working on. But I guess I can just kind of give you a little bit of context. And the fact that as I said, I was in public education and community engagement at the DevCorp, so I wasn't actually doing the project development itself. And I actually got to put up just a couple of weeks ago, since the Catalyst program, I put up my first solar project for a healing lodge in my community. And with that technical support and the mentorship that I got, I knew that I was able to put it up myself. And so that's just a really big outcome. I've actually already put up a small scale solar project since the program, and a lot of it has to do with the mentorship and confidence that I've gained through the program itself. And so I'm actually continuing to work now on a larger project, a sustainable restoration of my longhouse, which is, if you're Indigenous, you'll know, like, a lot of us have longhouses. The Haudenosaunee are actually the people of the longhouse, and we'll be doing a energy efficient upgrade, food security build for seed storage facility, and a solar PV system on 5 different buildings of the longhouse. And so that, it definitely is intimidating, but I actually, since the Catalyst, I'm like, I can freaking do this. And so knowing that I have the mentorship, knowing I can go to anyone within this community has been really beneficial. I even say I'm starting my one-on-one sessions with Gail, the connector of dots, who was in the mentorship slide. And I'm really excited to have my one-on-ones, because I know she's very invested in the well-being of our projects. And I'm new to energy efficiency, but this is something I want to take and want to do. And I actually wouldn't have had that without the Catalyst program, because I come from Sacred Earth Solar. So we do solar projects, and the Catalyst opened my eyes to energy efficiency. And I actually find that's one thing I'm very passionate about now and want to move forward. So I'm really excited to take this next step, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the mentorship here, because I didn't even know about it before. So or how to do it. And so with that, Gail is really supporting the technical expertise aspect of what I need to look at, how I need to go about audits, how I need to go about all the different contracting and different parts of that. So yeah, I just wanted to share. I should have shared, but I was really looking in the large, broad scope of it. But yeah, I'm really excited for where my projects will go. And I know ICE will be there every step of the way.
Awesome. Congrats to your amazing progress, and thanks so much for sharing your thoughts and for your time. I wanted to touch on a couple of things that Serena mentioned, and just to elaborate on a few things before I continue my presentation. you mentioned community a lot, and that's a super important part of the program, especially coming from the idea that the roles in energy and renewable energy in many communities is sometimes, one person, and it can feel very isolating. So having access to, as you said, other like-minded people, both who are going through the same things and who've already gone through it, is one of the things we're really proud of in the program, and I think one of the stronger parts that really helps bring everybody up together. And you mentioned about the sort of the approach to the education and all the resources and things, and I wanted to emphasize that everybody who's coming into the cohort, not everybody's at the same part of their project, not everybody's at the same stage in their journey as well, and so we really try and have the learning in the curriculum be as flexible as possible, so you can sort of take out what you put into it. We have resources to take you further in certain sections if that's where you're interested or if that's where you're working on, but we also try to cover everything as holistically as possible from that point of view. And another, I guess, really important thing to know is that if you're interested in the program, what does it cost? What is that, from your point of view? The program is completely free as a participant. All we require is your time during the on-sites and the webinars, as well as a few small worksheets and engagement on things there afterwards, with the goal being that as you're finishing up the program, you have a sort of rough project plan of sort of how do you move your projects forward for the next 6 months after the program? How do things go ahead? And then the rest is up to you from there, but we'll be with you along the way. So let me share my screen. I got a couple other quick things to talk about, and then we can take some questions. So sort of continuing on that vein, who should apply? One thing to mention is you need to be 18 plus to apply. And so there's a few things to look at if they apply to you. Now, if all of these don't apply to you, that's okay. It's not a strict requirement, but these are things that are good signs that you'd be the right fit for the program. But also, if you apply and you aren't accepted, don't be discouraged. Take that time, build yourself, work on your community, and work on your projects, and reapply again the next year. We've had there's a lot of interest in the program, and there's only certain 20 or so people we can take in every year. So don't be afraid to apply in successive years if you don't get into the program. So a couple things that are sort of good indicators. So are you working on a renewable energy project, whether for an Indigenous community? So it could be your community or another community. In the work of that project, is there support from the community and the leadership for those projects, as well as for your participation in the program? That's a big indicator. Having the community on board is a big first step, and that's really, really helpful to make sure that the project has that push to be able to move forward, or that you have that support to be able to move forward and sort of bring that role to the forefront in the community's mind. And if you have any experience working in energy, economic development, or any sort of related projects, that's also really helpful, and can help you sort of springboard that learning and that point of view that you'll bring into the program itself. Our applications are currently open for the 2024 cohort. They close at the end of November, November 30th. There will be a link posted in the chat, so you can take a look there, and we welcome you all to apply. I'm going to show a part of a video that was made from the week 3, the last on-site of the 2023 cohort. It's just about a 5-minute clip of it. The full video is 12 minutes, and I believe that will also be shared in the chat if you want to take a look. And I'm going to hit play. Serena, if you could just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the audio.
I'm a previous Catalyst myself, and a lot of the experience that I gained through that program was through other mentors. That networking and being able to bounce ideas off of people of your peers that are working on the same things as you, that have experience beyond what you have, can help you out in your journey, is much more valuable than anyone can really describe. I'd say it's a lot to do with like the skills that you gain through a program like this one. 3 weeks is a lot of time to learn a lot of things, especially when it comes to like being focused on Indigenous energy. I've never seen a program like this that focused on something and upheld people in the way that this one does.
I think why the Catalyst program is so different than other programs that we see is because it's with heart and soul and love. And a lot of the time in the clean energy sector, we don't talk about love. And so why we do this work in clean energy is to make sure that we can care for each other, care for our people, and care for the land in the way that it's always been intended to. And so the Catalyst program gives us the accessibility, the resources, and the support to be able to be the stewards of the land that our ancestors would want to see today. The Catalyst program shows us the power we have within ourselves.
That was my first time going to the East Coast, and it was really, really life-changing, like meeting everyone from across Turtle Island, across this red earth, to learn something together and collectively grow with each other. It's been really great, and so far my experience, life-changing. It's wonderful.
I think programs like this are important because when you think about the system of a tree, you have to start with the roots. Every single thing that we do in the community is connected to energy. And so this is really about a transfer of agency and a transfer of power back to our communities. So one thing that everyone talks about here is self-sufficiency and sovereignty. The start of that, the start of actually being a nation, well, you need to be able to generate your own power. It's literally generating power, but it's also taking back power and asserting autonomy over the direction that you want to go. So this program is so critically important because it's enabling all these people year over year to start to understand how they can actually do these things that we're talking about out in the world.
I'm really thankful to have this opportunity, and I really encourage others to come and join us. Make our family huge, make our family reach all around the world, because we need to save this world. Even though there's everyone telling you out there, oh, it's not gonna work, those are tests. Oh, you're not gonna get the support. That's another test right there. It's a test to see how far you can go, how far you believe in yourself, how much you believe in yourself to do this. And if you really care about making it to the next day, well, then you gotta make sure that you're doing your part to make sure our Mother Earth is taken care of, because she took care of our other generations back then. So now We have to do what they've done and secure a better future for the generations to come.
Okay.
I'm a previous.
That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions about participation in the program or partnerships, you can reach out to our program manager, Justice Morningstar. Her email is there at the bottom. And I think we can throw that in the chat as well. So we can open the floor for some questions. If anybody has them.
No questions?
I guess we covered it all. Hi, Gord.
How you doing?
Okay. Good.
Good to see you.
You as well.
And like I say, keep up with the heavy lifting. We like it was prevailed. We need more of us out there for sure.
Sure.
Well, you.
Um,
Can I make a comment? Gord
Of
is
course.
one of the amazing mentors from week 1. So like just even seeing that Gord is here today and like they really care, our mentors, about the program and the work we're doing, and then also providing that technical knowledge. So yeah, it's a community.
So we did have one question here in the chat. So when is the next course being offered? So like I said, the applications are open until the end of November for the 2024 cohort. So our on-sites right now, as it's currently planned for 2024, will be in June, the end of August/September, as well as November. So that's when we'll have our 3 on-sites with some onboarding, I think, starting late March to April, and continuing on through there. We will have more specific information as we finalize things on our website in the coming months, but we're still in the planning stages and finalizing a few things for that. Okay. Well, if that's where we're at now, again, you have Justice's contact information. You can reach out as well through the ICE network. Thank you everyone so much for your time, and thanks again, Serena and Courtney and everyone for attending. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.